Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 8 days away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, even creator George Lucas, that is all set and ready to end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future content. Now, one thing about Episode 9, there's a lot of mixed feelings going into this movie among many Star Wars fans around the world. A lot of fans feel very worried about this Star Wars movie, very apathetic and excited and curious. There's a lot of feelings and thoughts going around many Star Wars fans right now before they go ahead and see this thing beginning on December 19th, just next week. Next Thursday, can you believe it, is the release of The Rise of Skywalker. Now, on top of all of this, we do know that Disney and Lucasfilm went through many different changes and adjustments throughout the months of August, September, and October in order to provide a different tone for the fans, in order to make this film cater to a general audience, which I've expressed before in the past that is a terrible decision by Disney and Lucasfilm, and that is not the way to go for, of course, the future of the franchise, and specifically with the very end of the Skywalker saga. Now, with that being said, what's rather unfortunate and intriguing about all of this is that it's explained that the second and third acts of the film will have far more comedy than that of The Last Jedi's by Rian Johnson, where the comedy will be centered on all of the characters, even at times where serious moments in the film are interrupted by comedy. This was JJ's way to make the film funny within those acts of the movie, where one of the sequences is said to include a moment in which the Resistance will use space horses to fight the Final Order. The Final Order is explained to be a combination between the new Sith Empire and the First Order, where Palpatine is described to call it the Final Order once the two armies meet and attack the Resistance fleet. Now, when Rey defeats Palpatine, it's explained to happen in a matter of seconds, and there's little build-up to Palpatine's death, and that it happens too suddenly after Rey forms an X with Leia and Anakin's lightsabers. Palpatine is explained to be killed by the hands of Rey with ease, and is labeled as the Chosen One, where Rey later is actually called Rey Skywalker. Luke Skywalker is said to only have 2 scenes in the film, with the addition of a small flashback of him and Leia dueling with lightsabers on Endor. Luke has a total of 10 minutes worth of screen time in the movie, and Palpatine has a total of 12 minutes. It's said that Kathleen Kennedy deleted an entire scene where Palpatine originally was going to use a lightsaber up against both Rey and Kylo Ren. However, the entire saber scene was deleted, and that Palpatine will not be using a lightsaber at all in the film. It's said that the film will not answer every single question from The Force Awakens, and that the other questions will be answered in the film's novelization, due for release in March of 2020. Additionally, it's explained that when the Force Ghosts help Rey, none of them are seen and are only in the forms of voices that reach out to Rey in the moment. Disney didn't want Anakin or others in the scene, as it would take away the attention from Rey in the moment. Palpatine and how he is alive in the film is said to be his dead corpse hooked up to a machine that is controlled via his spirit, and that Palpatine has dead white eyes in the beginning of the film, where it's noted that Kathleen Kennedy is the one that came up with the idea to combine the original ideas of Palpatine's survival mixed with the new ideas, and as well as J.J. Abrams being involved in all of this. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, the thing about this is that it seems like a terrible dream to me. All these different decisions by Disney and Lucasfilm, and everything that is currently made final in The Rise of Skywalker. So everything that is final in Episode 9 is you have a thing called the Final Order, which sounds ridiculously bad. Basically, it's a combination of the new Sith Empire and the First Order, combining their forces to the Final Order. Honestly, it makes me laugh. I'm sorry I can't control it, but it really does make me laugh, the way it sounds. So, moving on from this, alright, the fact that there are space horses in the movie that attack the Sith troopers, I actually went over this briefly before my other video a couple of hours ago. There are going to be an entire army. There's going to be an entire army of these space horses that invade the ship, the actual Star Destroyer that belongs to the Final Order. that's going to infiltrate the interior of the actual Star Destroyer and literally kill the Sith troopers. That to me sounds absurd. It really does by Disney and Lucasfilm. It sounds like that they really are reaching when it comes to these particular scenes. The thing that really bothers me the most, though, is that the second and the third acts of the movie is going to have far more comedy than the comedy that was actually demonstrated in The Last Jedi by director Rian Johnson. Now, believe me, I love comedy, right? We've seen this in Star Wars A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but there's no denying that it was overdone in The Last Jedi to the max, where even at times in serious moments, the serious moments were interrupted by comedy. The same exact thing is going to apply here in The Rise of Skywalker for the first and second acts, where it's going to have serious moments in the film that will be interrupted by comedic moments of other characters. And that to me takes away, the serious moments in the film that should be taken in a serious matter. So I'm hoping that this does not apply, and I'm really crossing my fingers here, hoping that this does not apply to any of the Palpatine scenes. Please, Disney, if you apply any of that comedy to the Palpatine scenes, it's done. Because the Palpatine scenes need to be 100% dark, creepy, gritty, horrific. I mean, you name it, right? So the other thing I want to talk about that I think other fans will have issues with is how Luke Skywalker is said to only have 2 scenes in the movie, which is said to equal up to 10 minutes worth of screen time. In addition to that, a very small flashback scene between a young Luke and Leia. Now, there's been talks that it's in the form of a hologram or a full-on scene. It's still not concrete as to exactly how it's going to be demonstrated in the actual movie, but it is going to show a young Luke and Leia in the actual movie in any way, shape, or form. And they actually did that through the de-aging technology and the CGI techniques on both Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher by using the unused footage of Carrie. Now, the fact that we have little Luke and Palpatine in this movie, I think, is something that will make the fans feel betrayed by Disney and Lucasfilm. Again, you have a title called The Rise of Skywalker, right? A lot of fans believe that this movie has something to do with either Anakin or Luke in the movie. Meanwhile, it all has to do with Rey becoming a Skywalker, taking the Skywalker by name, where she becomes the Chosen One and destroys Darth Sidious. And about the death of Darth Sidious, it's said to be very fast. I mean, that he dies in a matter of seconds, where it happens so suddenly, where it's almost able to be compared to Darth Maul's death in Star Wars Rebels, when he fights Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. So, think about that, right? How fast Palpatine is going to die in this movie when he fights Rey. She blocks the Sith lightning, deflects it back at him, he disintegrates, he explodes, and vanishes into thin air. The entire throne room begins to crumble as Rey makes her way out of there, eventually, after she is helped by Ben Solo, where Ben Solo later then dies by helping Rey. We went over that in the last video. So, with that being said, a lot of these decisions before and after the adjustments, it sounds really bad. It sounds like that the fact that they did away with the Force Ghosts, that they're only Force Ghost voices, none of them really appear at the very end of the film, except for Luke and Leia on Tatooine. For a split second, it's not even that long of a scene, and it really seems like that. Obviously, they're trying to steer clear away from anything affiliated with the original trilogy, where, by the way, even Kathleen Kennedy confirmed this the other day, is that this entire movie is primarily focused on the Resistance and the 3 new characters, Rey, Poe, and Finn. It's not really based on Leia, Luke, or Palpatine, or Lando Calrissian, or any of those characters. It's mainly focused on the Resistance. That's the majority of the movie, is the Resistance. And I think that, given that, in my point of view, the Resistance is far weaker as far as how it's utilized in a Star Wars movie than how the Rebellion was handled by George Lucas in the original trilogy, I'm really not looking forward to this movie, being, or should I say, the Resistance being the highlight of this movie. That's the thing that I'm not really looking forward to, is the fact that there's going to be a lot of comedy, how Rey kills Darth Sidious in a matter of seconds with ease, and the list goes on and on. It sounds like a terrible dream, but it actually is the real deal here. So, yeah, the Japan premiere happened yesterday. We got the new premiere over in Los Angeles happening on the 16th. we're all prepared. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.